This is the Authority Partners podcast.
Hello, Dino, and thank you for joining this podcast. We are going to talk about how companies would help grow junior developers and help them develop their skills and their careers.
My pleasure to be here sharing in this sort of comfortable space ideas, and I hope to be able to learn from your experience, as well as I hope that people listening to us can find out whatever can concretely help them to achieve their goals as far as training and growing developers is concerned. If you go on LinkedIn these days, it's a continuous showing up of I'm hiring, looking for this or that. And so I believe that this in IT, the whole IT sector is experiencing a tremendous amount of requests, and not necessarily some requests that are easy to match.
Yes, you're totally correct. So thank you very much for that intro. So as you said, many companies are facing exactly this challenge, and usually, as it is the situation everywhere, senior developers are mostly occupied with work, and as such do not usually have all that much time for mentoring. And since you have the experience in this industry for more than 3 decades, it would be really great to hear your experiences in this regard. So maybe let's start with the first question. So in your opinion, is it better to hire experts or grow junior developers, or both?
Yeah. Needless to say, this is the classic $1 million, $1 billion question. So what I can say here is my personal experience, which is not necessarily matching entirely the experience, the everyday experience of other companies, because in these 2 years of COVID, I had to completely change my everyday routine, and I stopped being a consultant. I stopped being a trainer for money. So I stopped with any sort of consultancy, any sort of things that was bringing me traveling, of course. So I had to get back to the old days of developing software. So we are now, in these 2 years, a company that was just me and my son grew up to 10 people. So we are still very small, but we, multiplied by 5 the number of people in 2 years. Being a company of 2 people in the beginning, we couldn't afford at all to hire someone that has some sort of built-in skill set. So hiring experts, hiring seniors was not an option for us. So we had to face necessarily, the point is, how can we train new people, junior people from scratch up to the level that could take them to be useful to the projects of the company. Surprisingly, that worked beautifully. I'm still trying to realize what was done in the correct and effective way in these 2 years. But fact is that people with nearly no experience other than bringing up a computer, opening up an office, and maybe writing some Python script, but people with a strong educational background, coming mostly from mathematics and from engineering university faculties, these people with no software experience put in front of, this is what we do. This is the way we expect you start doing things. Fact is, in a few months, I would say 6 months, 0 to 6 months, they are for our own needs close to the concept of senior. And the first guy who started 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, doing this, well, honestly, it is now senior by the general definition of senior that you can find out through other companies. So it's not how we call senior people, but it's probably very close to the seniority level that is universally recognized.
This is kind of really interesting. I mean, I would be going, around and I think I bumped into Stack Overflow into your son, Giovanni Esposito, right? Yeah, several times. So you have kind of first-hand experience helping a junior to develop his skills and and then grow, which is really exactly what we are talking about now. So, but we have touched upon the notion of a senior several times. So what the senior is in your opinion? I mean, is it somebody who knows many technologies but can only practice few, or somebody who has more balance between knowing and having the skills with a certain technology?
I guess that, again, if you ask this question, 10 different people, you have chances to get nearly 10 different answers. It's probably not a question that has an absolute universally accepted answer. In my opinion, again, the answer that goes closest to the status of being a universal answer is having a significantly long proven record of solved problems. So if you've been able to solve a business problem, to contribute to a deployed project, a delivered project for some customers, if you did something that is before the eyes of people and customers, the more you have of these things, the more you can count yourself a senior. When you have 2 or 3, at least, of this proven record of solved problems, you can start calling yourself to some level really a senior, and it would be very hard for other people to question your status. Beyond that, how do you reach this level if you start from zero? So if you were a non-software person or just a junior person, I think that the key point is start doing a few things as best as you can, and this is the approach that we took. Teaching how to do the things that we need to have done the way we want it to be done. So in this way, we didn't teach people how to do things the wrong way. So this is how we want you to do. If you are good at doing these things, you find for us, and you contribute to deliver a project. So it's a kind of thinking people as an extension of the few people in the company, 1 or 2, 3, the few people that are effectively expert and senior. Everything else is mostly a definition. So we can say that if you've been doing the same thing, so if you specialize on ASP.NET, say, and you've been doing that for a decade, are you really a senior if you completely ignore, have no idea of what, I don't know, Angular or Blazor is? Are you really a senior? It's arguable. It depends on definitions. At the same time, if you know million technologies, every new technology, every new JavaScript library that comes up every day, if you know and are familiar with those things, but you never used any of those to deliver something, are you still callable an expert? Again, I believe that the real sensible answer is having a proven record of solved problems.
Yeah, this what you said is like, being apprentice of many trades, but not really be master of any one of those, So this is kind of common pitfall to avoid, I would say. So yes, you need to be acquainted with many technologies, but then you need to have a few of those technologies being really good at them, and that's how you grow. So you do not go horizontally very thin, or you do not go narrow and try to grow very high, So you have to find kind of a balance in between over there. But I guess your answer that having a proven record of solved problems, this is really important one. In my opinion, and I don't know if you would agree, but from my experience from junior developers, I'm first looking at the professionalism, which is, are they serious about the job, and do they understand that this is business and we need to deliver the value to the client, as you mentioned. And then at second point is their soft skills, and only the third point is really the actual technical skills. This is how I see it. I don't know if you have any comments on that.
Yeah, I mean, I would bring an anecdote. One of these guys that works for our small company, the first guy who started going to the road from zero to hero in just a few months. We asked this guy at some point, when he was still giving his everyday contribution to real projects, we asked him to take a look at Dapper, the micro ORM library, because we were having some issues with Entity Framework in a particular context. So let's have a look at Dapper. So this guy knew nothing, not even the name of the Dapper library. So always I said to him was, go on NuGet. This is the name of the library, Dapper. go on NuGet, download it. This is the link to the homepage of the project where you can grab basic information, documentation on the library, and you know the problem that we're having, we're experiencing. Let's see if this can solve the problem. So that guy had zero experience on Dapper when he started, but in a matter of a week, he was able to provide an alternative solution to the problem we originally had. So when I read on, again, LinkedIn job offerings, 3 years of experience in Dapper, I smile, because I don't want to hire someone that has a proven record of 3 years of 3 years using a particular library. I want a guy that is able to go on a topic, go as deep as he can on that topic, and come up with answers. But it will be the same for me. I never used Dapper until a few months ago. But the moment I need it, I go there, I focus on that, and in a matter of days, I come up with whatever I need. And this is something that you don't need 30 years of experience, 3 decades of experience like me to be able to do. Even if you are a smart person in first place, if you have all those soft skills like, the ability to learn, the ability of helping others, the ability to ask for help to the people that surround you in the office or in the virtual office, that is really important. So there's something that scares me, but again, mine is mostly the perspective of a small company. So the day in which we decide to hire a person with some significant experience, so bringing in a so-called expert or senior, I'm scared that this guy could break the perfect balance of emotions, the perfect balance of life that we have in the office at the moment. So a guy that doesn't come in and be humble, friendly, cautious in whatever he does, a guy that presents boldly, I'm the expert, I'm here to help, I'm here to tell you what to do. No, this is the person that, in my opinion, that I would be very, very scared to hire regardless of the technicalities and the professionalism, the technical ability he may have.
I understand.
You have to be a good human before you are a good dev. This is another point that I would like to make.
But this is from the perspective of having a smaller company. But from your experience, and I'm sure you have seen it in much, much bigger companies, what would be the ideal role of an expert joining the company, and what would be the best way for them to contribute in growing junior developers and helping them to improve their skills and knowledge?
Again, you have to be a good human in first place. Good human means...
so soft skills, you mean?
Yeah, exactly, soft skills, essentially, yeah.
So you think a person who's not a good human cannot be a good developer? I mean, is this the logic behind it?
Yeah, exactly. That's the way I look at it. Yeah, of course, I don't want to be recognized as the guy who boldly makes statements. Oh, if you're a bad person, you cannot be a good developer. Now, I'm just bringing here my personal experience, and that comes mostly in the past 2 years in a very small environment. But, if I recall what I've seen, not as in depth as in these 2 years in a small company. But let me share another anecdote that is that refers to the last long-term consulting gig I took just before that ended just with the beginning of COVID 2 years ago. I was called to help the engineering team to take to the next level a consolidated product. So I was hired by the CEO in person, and I was presented to the team just to be, okay, this is the Dino, his curriculum. Is the usual story, 3 decades of experience, blah, blah, blah. He has written so many books, blah, 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 all this. This Dino is here to help. And then on the first meeting with the lead architect of the team, I got a very clear message. We're done. Everything has been decided. We're fine. The team is fine with what we have decided. We're just implementing our strategy. We are halfway on our roadmap. We plan to finish the roadmap in advance of scheduled time. By the end of the year, we're done. So the message for me was, what are you doing here? Again, probably of course, they failed. 1 year later, they were very delayed on any deliverable. The decision was a nightmare for the customer. A lot of things were decided for the wrong way, in the wrong way. But, the way they approached me, and they basically pushed me out of the door, no matter what the CEO decided. So, again, entering into a team as a person that has some credibility and some experience makes even more important for you to be a good human, because you don't want to get into the team and break everything. So in that case, right or wrong, I don't know, I still don't know. My approach was, okay, I stepped back. I went to the CEO, talked to the CEO, I explained the situation. I said, okay, now we have 2 ways ahead. Just break the contract, stop the contract, or I try I work out a new position that doesn't get in contrast with the team that looks so well structured, I mean, at least based on their words, and they feel confident to deliver on time, on budget, and whatever. They failed totally, but that's a different story that was brought up a year later. So it was not an affair for the company, but at the same time, I didn't feel comfortable to getting into the team and say, okay, you're a mass of idiots. Now let's rediscuss everything.
Yeah,
I didn't feel like that was the best way I could do. Right or wrong, I still don't know. But
yeah,
anyway,
there's always more or less politics, when you join a completely new company, but that's how the life goes. Going back to really cultivating the skills of a junior, so what would be, in your opinion, what would be the optimal way of kind of helping junior to turn into a more senior dev? Like, is it like creating the right environment and understanding how they essentially learn, exposing them to pair programming, code reviews with senior developers, monitoring progress and goals, the usual stuff that you do, or something else? I mean, this is just from my experience. I'm speaking from my experience, because pair programming and code reviews with senior developers has proven to be a really good boost for junior developers. Or do you have anything else to add on to this journey of turning junior programmers to senior ones?
No, pair programming does work, and that's probably the only way. So we typically take this approach for the very first week, especially if the person has no experience with software. We spend a few weeks, normally 4 to 6 weeks, just to go step by step into a console application, into the .NET space, into the C# language, to programming languages, from zero. If the person is strongly motivated, of course, with home exercises, tutorials, and things like that, in 4 to 6 weeks, they are ready to start getting into the things we really do for business. And of course, needless to say, if the person that joins the company is already kind of skilled, so he knows the basics of software development, he or she starts right from the level in which this is what we do. And essentially a typical application template, a reference application that is created, it comes as a Visual Studio template. That is exactly how we expect them to do things. So they learn concepts like the repository, how we use the repository. They know how we use the controller, how we use the application services, how we use the database, how we configure an application, how we do authentication, and a number of things, which client-side libraries, JavaScript libraries we use. We have internal libraries that we use. So they get exposed to all these things step by step during the building of pieces of this, or just analyzing pieces of this reference application. After another few weeks, typically, again, another 4 to 6 weeks of this, they start doing real business, peer-to-peer with other people. But and a point that we found out, maybe very late to the party, but what we found out is that the distance between the two guys, the two people doing pair programming, the distance, I mean, in terms of skills and experience, shouldn't be that large. So typically we have relatively young people close to new people, because in this way we found out that they found pleasure in explaining things to the younger programmer, and they try to share the best. And if the more experienced person doesn't know the answer, how to answer a given question he may get from the junior, they are on the same boat. They feel like they're on the same boat. They don't know the answer. They scale up and come to me or to other people asking for more information. And the funny thing here is that it's not me that is really training people, but people that are one step ahead of training are able to train those that are just behind. So the approach built in this way for, again, our own scenario at least, works and more importantly scales, because it's not just me, Dino, the super mega expert that represents a bottleneck and everything has to pass through him. No, it's I trigger the career of these zero to hero people, and then other people on the way take care through the mechanism of pair programming to take the junior people up to the next level.
To sum up, you would basically pair programmers with somebody who is just one or maximum two levels above them, and then that works the best, while pairing them with real seniors, like somebody who has 20 or plus years of experience. Probably that guy would assume so many things because it is clear to him, and then they would not get down into details and explaining everything. So it wouldn't work that great as with the ones that are just a little slightly above the people that are paired with them. So this actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, exactly. This is what we do. Again, we found out that this approach, again, for our own scenarios, this is working beautifully.
But you also mentioned, and this is important to underline. You mentioned that this scales up, so we can use it as well.
We have every people in the company is a potential trainer.
Yes.
Or mentor.
Nice way of putting it. So, okay, you like to mention the saying of Steve Jobs, who once said that new people should tell us what to do. So could you elaborate a little bit more about that? What you exactly meant with that one?
Again, there's another anecdote. We were not related, but not strictly specific of software development. We considered to hire a project manager. I had a contact from a past company I worked with, and so I got to know that this one guy from this company was leaving and was looking for opportunities. So I contacted him and said, look, we may need a project manager. I know I appreciate you as an individual. We started talking about the possibility he was joining in some way our company. And the first thing this guy started saying, okay, yes, you have to be agile. You must be doing this. You must follow this Scrum, blah, 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 blah. Look, wait. That was my reply. Wait. I'm not like Steve Jobs. I mean, I'm not in the condition of being like Steve Jobs and in his popular quote, we hire new people, smart people to have them tell us what to do and not to tell them what they have to do. We're not Apple. I'm not Steve Jobs. I'm not in the condition of being like him. So in first place, you join the company. You have to be a good human and get into the company in a very soft way. Figure out how things work, spot the things that are not working the way you think they should go, and then you start giving your contribution. So I really don't like, and this is the sense of the Steve Jobs sense. So because I hire you, especially if you're an expert, and I hire you, okay, I expect you give a contribution, but at the same time, I don't want you to come in and break everything. Because we survived without you. We reached without you the point in which we may need someone like you, but we want to grow. We don't want to lose anything of what we achieved.
Yeah, so you mean what you're saying basically is the biggest kind of challenge is how to incorporate new people, newcomers into the company and make everything work smoothly and that the company is growing in overall, right? So because exactly. I mean obviously it is not It is not possible to. Okay, Apple can do that. They can hire geniuses, all, but not many companies can really do that. It's almost impossible, right? Apple is Apple, right? But the point is, how do you really get people, and how do they find their place, playing nicely with the rest of the company, and give their contribution to the company in overall?
To answer this question, I don't know how to answer this question in a large environment, in the context of larger companies. But bringing the limited experience of a very small company, what we're finding successful is bringing people that are friends or close friends to any other people in the company. So we experienced that. We asked at some point, how is it possible? We've been so lucky that everyone we brought in worked. How is it possible? We didn't miss a single hire so far. Again, we went from 2 to 10. So we made
this is interesting. Yeah.
Okay, so is
it some kind of energy? Because we would like to get some of that.
And then we realized that, okay, beyond the way in which we train people, but beyond that, we realized that the 8 people that we hired, they are connected directly or slightly indirectly to another people in the company. So the last 3 that we are onboarding, we started onboarding end of January. One is the friend of another. Another one is a close relationship of another one. Another one is a friend of my son, but not even a close friend, but he is a good guy. So bring in. So sort of referral system from within the company.
Oh, okay. Okay.
At least this guarantees that the human level of people is compatible with the company itself. Because if I suggest the company hires or starts training an individual that I know, in a way I'm guaranteeing that this guy, I believe that this guy would work here. I would not recommend someone who could make my own life at work worse.
Okay.
It's a classic referral system that I experienced the first time 25 years ago when I worked for just a few months for the Accenture. At the time it was called Anderson Consulting. But I went into the company because of the referral system, and I brought 2 more people through the referral internal mechanism. It's similar to that.
Okay, this is an interesting experience, and I fully agree. So you think besides everything that you have said already, the most important thing is to focus at people kind of at a human level. So this is kind of what really matters.
Yeah, exactly. I like to use the expression good human, but again, soft skills. That's it. That's all about
yes.
it.
Yes, you're right. So the last question is that we have talked about juniors and senior developers, and then there is there's also kind of a notion of a full stack developer, and different people have a very different opinion about what it actually comprises of. So could you just tell us what you see as being a proper definition of a full stack developer?
Yes, this is a topic I'm very sensitive to, in the sense that it's I wonder every day what would be again the sort of universal definition for full stack. Now, as a company, we for the first time we had to outsource a project to another company, another small company of 5 people or something like that, because we just had no bandwidth to take the project home. And we had a reference, the person to talk to, which to our eyes was responsible for the progress of the project. At some point we had some issues with the way in which the user interface that was working, and subsequently the experience that the software was delivering to actual users. We questioned some of the choices that they made in the UI impacting the UX. And this person, which was, to our eyes, again, the reference and the warranty of the whole project, came up with an answer like, I have no idea how the UI works. Wow. Because I'm a back-end boy. Okay, so at this point, I'm really scared of whoever doesn't claim to be a full stack. So I understand specializing in the user interface, specializing in database access, specializing in multi-threading and back-end code, specializing in API, in testing. I understand these things. But at the same time, every single developer, to be called a developer, in my opinion, should have, you said that, an horizontal panel of knowledge that goes from top to the bottom. Does this mean everyone has to be a full stack? Probably yes. You cannot deploy a function, a segment of the system without testing it. Does that mean I have to be a tester myself? To some extent, yes. Does that mean I need to be a UX expert to some extent? Yes, because if you try simulating what the user has to do, no matter you write the back end or you write the front end, if you are responsible for a piece of software, you must be able to put your hand on fire for what you state about the software. This is ready to go. And you have to be able to understand and test all aspects, maybe not in detail, but you must be able to understand at least whatever happens. But on a completely different topic, when you have tax issues and you go to an accountant and you talk to him, I don't believe you blindly trust what he says. When you go to a lawyer for whatever issue you may have, I don't believe you really blindly trust what they say. And when you go to a doctor these days especially, would you really trust whatever the doctor these days is saying, which is just repeating, echoing things that someone puts in the air? So using your brains means trying to understand at least the big picture of all aspects of software, from the front end to the back end, passing through whatever API level you may have in the middle. If this means that everyone has to be a full stack, okay, in my opinion, everyone has to be at least to some extent a full stack.
Yeah, so you mean like to understand all phases over there, probably be expert in one or two of those, but understand everything, because otherwise you are going to lose like a thread and you're not going to understand what the system needs to deliver in the end, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
okay.
In our company, we have a guy, just one person, that is the UX guy, but he's perfectly able to write an API to try his own things. So when he does Angular or whatever in the front end, when he tests CSS, JavaScript, and things like that, he's perfectly able to build a stupidly simple ASP.NET application with some API for him to call. And he understands what is right or wrong, or what could be fixed, or what should be fixed, when he calls an API that someone else has written.
I understand.
He's not the right person to have to optimize a SQL Server queries. He's not the guy to ask, but he knows. He can tell you at least where to look. He understands what a query is, what an API is, what's JSON REST and gRPC, those things are. He's not the expert, but he knows how things work in the real world.
To conclude, the kind of lingering on for, I don't know, just UI development or something like that and not doing anything else it's really a bad option and does not help you develop your knowledge, improve your skills, and eventually develop your career. So this is not the way to go.
Learn as much as possible. If I have to summarize, learn as much as possible, following your instinct.
Okay, so thank you very much for the discussion. The discussion on this topic is really, this is really a hot topic and really challenging one. I hope that the discussion we had is going to help people who would be listening to this podcast. So thank you very much again for being a part of this podcast. And thank you and have a nice day, Dino.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity to share these ideas, and as a message to the masses, feel free to get in touch if you think, or if you just want to share ideas. Reach me on LinkedIn, on email or whatever. in many, my references are pretty easy to find out over the network. I'm really happy, but LinkedIn probably is the first place to get in touch quickly. I'm really open to have discussions and to share ideas on this topic with whoever feels this is interesting.
This is great. Thank you very much, Dino, and have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Authority Partners podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode.